So, who in the industry did Lizzo tick off? Because this lawsuit that came out of nowhere went left real fast. And Lizzo, who has seemingly been the darling of the media since she came on the scene back in 2013, was immediately vilified by what looked like a majority of those who posted the story. Now, we all know that Lizzo has been very much in your face about a couple of things since she became famous. One is body positivity, regardless of size, and the other is giving out way too much information about her intimate life. I mean, I don't care what size you are, there are some things I don't want and certainly don't need to know about you. Keep that stuff to yourself. But her practice of oversharing and blurring the lines between professional and personal boundaries has come back to bite her because three of Lizzo's former dancers are accusing her of just about everything, including being a child of God. And it's almost reminding me of what's been happening with Jonathan Majors, whose trial has been pushed back yet again due to the stalling tactics of the prosecution. So you have a celebrity who has been on the receiving end of nothing but praise, and some might say over the top support from some for just about everything they do. And then, out of seemingly nowhere, allegations are leveled against them, and based on majority of the media coverage, it seems the tide of public opinion shifts immediately from being pro that celebrity to anti that celebrity. It reminds me of something Michael Jackson used to say, how they build up the celebrity just to tear them down. And now it seems that it's Lizzo's turn, because the artist who has been on the receiving end of some of the most despicable body shaming comments has now been accused, among other things, of body shaming her own dancers. That sounds like a WTF moment, right? I mean, we've all seen the comments that have had Lizzo in tears on her social media accounts on more than one occasion. And I mean, just a couple of months ago, at the end of May, Lizzo was yet again on the receiving end of somebody's body shaming stupidity. And so she locked her Twitter account after tweeting this. She said, "Y'all don't know how close she be to giving up on everyone and quitting and enjoying her money and her man on an effing farm." She had just logged on the app, and this is the type of ish she sees about her on a daily basis. So she points out a few of the ridiculous comments, and claps back saying most of this stuff isn't true. She doesn't eat fast food. She hasn't had it in years. And she went on to say how she was tired of explaining herself all the time and that she just wanted to get on the app without seeing her name in some BS. So then, fast forward several weeks later, and now she's the one being accused of body shaming and at least 8 other complaints, ranging from hostile work environment, ex-harassment, religious harassment, false imprisonment. And these dancers, they have been giving interviews, making these same accusations based on their perception about what would have happened if they did or didn't do something. So they're giving the vaguest details possible, but making sure to throw out terms that will have the most impact on social media. So take, for instance, the accusation about being fired because of weight gain. The dancer who makes the allegations, Ariana Davis, she was asked point blank on TMZ how her separation from Lizzo's employment occurred. Because basically the allegation is that she feels she was fired, terminated because of her weight gain. So when they ask her, so what happened? This was her response.
What goes into my termination is that I had felt for a really long time that they were questioning my abilities, due to weight gain. It was never explicitly said, hey, you're gaining weight. Your job is in jeopardy. It was never that. It was very nuanced. It was very under the rug. And I think that language was used to keep from being canceled. In a way, cancel culture is so big. And I think that a lot of artists fear that. So I think she kind of tiptoed around it in a way where she wasn't blatantly saying anything, crazy, but there was always this underlying thing of like, are you okay? Why do you seem different? We can see right through you. Someone literally told me that we can see right through you, someone being the choreographer. And that was right before a private meeting that they had pulled me into, disguising it as a safe space to tell us what's wrong. And in this meeting, she stated as well that, dancers get fired for gaining weight. And then she kind of paused and looked at me, and I still don't know if she really meant to single me out in that moment. But when she looked at me and she said that, I was kind of like, so she's really concerned about my weight. And then, when we had that private meeting, when I was kind of cornered, they kind of wouldn't let me, get away with not telling them something personal. So, and a reason why something was wrong with me. So I ended up telling them that I struggle with, anxiety and depression, and that I'm in recovery from an eating disorder. And as soon as I said eating disorder, they immediately were like, oh, like in their head, it was making sense as to why I was gaining weight, because it had something to do with an eating disorder problem.
So did anyone else see how she threw out so many catchphrases in that answer? She threw out cancel culture. She threw out, all the terms basically. But she never once got to how she was fired for weight gain. So, I had to find out exactly what the lawsuit actually said. So, in the actual court documents, the allegations about the body shaming start here. It says, on or about April 21st, 2023, Ms. Davis was called into a private meeting with Lizzo and the choreographer Tanisha Scott. Lizzo and Ms. Scott questioned whether Ms. Davis was struggling with something, as she seemed less committed to her role on the dance cast. Lizzo and Ms. Scott pressed Ms. Davis for an explanation why she seemed less bubbly and vivacious than she did prior to the tour starting. In professional dance, a dancer's weight gain is often seen as that dancer getting lazy or worse off as a performer. So Lizzo and Ms. Scott's questions about Ms. Davis' commitment to the tour were thinly veiled concerns about Ms. Davis' weight gain, which Lizzo has previously called attention to after noticing it at a South by Southwest music festival. So basically, in Ariana's mind, Lizzo and the choreographer asking, well, what happened to your energy? You're a little bit different. You're not as bubbly and vivacious as you were when we first started the tour. But in Ariana Davis's mind, she heard that, they talking about the weight that she gained, and they want to know what's going on. So anyway, Ms. Davis then stated that she was dealing with personal issues, but did not, nor would she ever, let it affect her work. In fact, not only had Ms. Davis' performance as a dancer not slipped, but Ms. Davis had also become a better dancer than she was when she was hired. Lizzo and Ms. Scott were not satisfied with Ms. Davis' answer and continued to press. Just as she was at Banana Bar, Lizzo was relentless until Ms. Davis bent to her demands. So although Lizzo and Ms. Scott never explicitly stated it, these questions, accompanied by Lizzo's statements made after the South by Southwest Music Festival, gave Ms. Davis the impression that she needed to explain her weight gain and disclose intimate personal details about her life in order to keep her job. Ms. Davis shared that she had been struggling with anxiety and depression and has been diagnosed with binge eating disorder. Ms. Davis explained her diagnosis and struggles, made it clear that in spite of her mental health struggles, she was still committed to the tour and performing to the top of her capabilities. In response, Lizzo and Ms. Scott dismissively offered Ms. Davis time off of rehearsals to attend therapy. This offer seemed strange to Miss Davis and made her feel like if she accepted the time off, Lizzo and BGBT would see her as too weak to continue as a member of the dance cast. Accordingly, Miss Davis declined, thinking it was the only way she could keep her job. This meeting took place immediately before a show, and although Ms. Davis was hurt and emotionally drained by being forced to tell her employers about personal struggles, she still went out and performed that night. So this is the part where they're accusing Lizzo of the body shaming, which led to Ariana Davis being terminated. Basically, this is it. But I didn't, in this part, this is not where she got fired. And if you really read the lawsuit, so this happened on April 21st. They had a private meeting with Ariana, and then they asked her what was going on, and then Ariana explained she had some mental concerns going on and some things dealing with her weight, and they offered her therapy, and she was afraid to take the therapy because she thought she would lose her job. Okay, that's what I read in there. Now, all of this, everything else is colored by what Ariana Davis is perceiving someone else is thinking when they look at her. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Do you guys see something else? Do you all think that this account that she's giving was actual body shaming? Let me know in the comments. Now, see, that part right there. She's saying that this is what led to her firing. This conversation right here is what led to her firing. But if you read further in the paperwork, that happened on April 21st. Then on April 27th, all the dancers were called into a meeting with Lizzo to discuss how they had been dancing. They discussed some other things, but also Lizzo gave them some notes, performance notes on what was going on. Now, Ariana ended up recording these notes. Now, she gives this whole spiel on how she has an eye condition, which Lizzo and the company should have been aware of, and that condition caused her to become disoriented in stressful situations. So she has a habit of making audio recordings of stressful interactions so she can review them later in less stressful environments. So this was her reasoning. This is the reason why she had to record Lizzo giving the group performance notes. Now, we know sometimes people aren't always nicey nice. They're not going to use those nice words, or when they feel that someone could be messing with their livelihood, because in Lizzo's mind, this is her legacy. Her show is her legacy. So she may not have been using the most appropriate words. She may have called out some people for some things, but Ariana recorded this, and apparently it wasn't open recording. It wasn't like Lizzo knew that she's going to be recording this. Ariana secretly recorded this meeting with Lizzo giving performance notes. And this happened on April 27th. So this was 6 days after the meeting that Ariana had with Lizzo about possibly having some therapy to handle some of the issues that she was telling them about. So then on May 3rd, all the dancers were called into an emergency wardrobe fitting, and when they arrived, the management and security were there waiting for the dance cast. Now, security took every dance member's phone as they entered the room, and once they were all in the room and their phones were collected, Lizzo came in. Now, Lizzo stated that she knew one of the dancers recorded their meeting on April 27th, and they said Lizzo became furious, hurling expletives at the group, and stated that she was going to go around the room person by person until someone told Lizzo who made the recording. So Ms. Davis admitted that she had recorded the meeting and explained it was because she wanted to have a copy of the notes that Lizzo had given them about their performances. Ms. Davis also explained that she never intended to harm Lizzo with the recording and had even deleted it the day after recording. Lizzo responded with, "There is nothing you can say to make me believe you." Miss Quigley and Lizzo then took turns berating Miss Davis. After castigating Miss Davis, Lizzo fired Miss Davis on the spot. So, This is when she got fired. But notice when she gives the interview, the part that, because you know how our society is now, not everyone's going to go and do the research. They're not going to go and read and find out, wait, what does the lawsuit actually say? They're going to take what bloggers are saying. They're going to take what the news media is saying. They're going to take those things that are just right in front of them. Oh my gosh, she fired her for being for being overweight. How could she even do that? That doesn't make any sense. Lizzo did that? But no, that's not why she got fired. She got fired because she secretly recorded Lizzo. And here's the other thing. If she was, just doing this for her own benefit, for the actual performance notes, so that she can listen to them and study them in peace without being anxious or in a stressful environment, how did anyone else find out about the recording? So somebody was talking. Someone was saying, oh, I got this recorded. When she said this, guess what? This is on tape now, blah, blah, blah. Someone said something to somebody, because now all of a sudden, what is that? Like 6 days later after she recorded this, they have a meeting where Lizzo knows that there's a recording of her. And Lizzo doesn't believe that the girl didn't mean to harm her in some kind of way with that recording. So she fired her. And again, here they were very vague, saying that they took turns berating her and castigating her. But they're not going to give not one thing that she said. She's probably saying, how could you? How dare you? And of course she was cursing her out. But this doesn't have anything to do with weight gain. This has to do with secretly recording her boss without her permission. So y'all tell me, based on that, on her actual words in the lawsuit, the legal document that she filed, was she fired because of weight gain? Or was she fired because she secretly recorded Lizzo with possible intent to harm later on? Why was she fired? You tell me in the comments. And all the other allegations are somewhat like that. It's there are things that can be basically misconstrued or taken the wrong way, because even in the interviews, they're saying, oh no, this was never explicitly said, you have to go to this club, or you have to do this, you have to do that. But the dancer's perception was that if they didn't do it, then they would be fired. Or the perception was that they saw other people who went with Lizzo to these clubs and, had funds. They were the ones that got the private jet trips. They were the ones that got to go to tropical locations with Lizzo. So they felt that if they didn't do these things, go to these clubs and have fun and hang out with Lizzo, then they would be they wouldn't be on a high position or on her good list as dancers. Now, I'm a firm believer in the Word of God, and it says that your gifts make room for you. So being just, I'm gonna go and do whatever these people tell me to do so they can look kindly and favorably on me. To me, it seems like they're playing with words and semantics a lot in the documentation. So I know there are some things Lizzo definitely needs to do better with, and to, but that's her things that she's dealing with, that she's going through. She needs to keep her circle close and intimate, not cross those professional boundaries, and just leave it at that. But the way they're playing with words, when they do these interviews and in the actual lawsuit, that, to me, that's just shady, and it throws everything else into question. So that's why I'm like, who did Lizzo tick off? Do y'all think that it was somebody that she said no to, that she, said, I'm not going to do this, or, oh, I'm out, I'm done doing it this way, I don't want to do this anymore? What do you think happened that now all of a sudden, boom, this lawsuit is out here? Because remember, back at the end of May 31st, she was talking about, she wants to be done and go on a farm and just stay with her boyfriend. She enjoy her money and her man, period, on the farm. That's what she said back on May 31st. So something happened. And it could have been alluding to, just the body shame and all the negative comments that she gets constantly. But it could be more to that. It could be something happened and she was like, she's done with this. She don't want to do this no more. And that was what she was saying back on May 31st. And now all of a sudden it was like, oh, you want that? Well, let's see how much you like it when this is going on. Let's see what happens to your money with after this comes out. So see if you can enjoy your money and your man on your farm. What y'all think? Did she tick off the wrong person? And then give them too much information, as she does, by letting people know her moves in advance? Because that's another thing you don't do. Quit telling, but just do what you're going to do. Don't let people know what you're doing. Make your moves. Move in silence. But she's letting everybody know, okay, well, I'm just going to do this. And so, what you going to do this? Enjoy your money? What money? That's what it seems like to me. You let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching.